Assalamualaikum, ladies and gentlemen. You're now with me, Yusuf Shukri, for TVS Nightline, and here are the headlines for tonight. Ministry urged local companies to invest in domestic semiconductor industry. More than 5,000 citizenship applications received by Ministry of Home Affairs in 2023. And clashes between two armed rival groups in Central Africa have killed at least 42 people. Now, clashes between two armed rival groups have killed at least 42 people in eastern Chad, according to the Public Security Ministry on Thursday. The ministry did not specify who was involved in the fighting. However, the African country is known for being frequently the site of disputes between farmers and nomadic breeders or other groups. According to a statement released by the government, 175 people were arrested. Clashes frequently break out in the eastern and southern Chad, where farmers accuse herders of allowing animals to graze on their land or trample on crops. The Ministry of Home Affairs, KDN, has received a total of 5,210 applications for Malaysian citizenship in Sarawak alone last year. According to its Minister, Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail, the work was facilitated by KDN's special officers in collaboration with the Sarawak government. The number of applications were collected throughout the whole year in 12 different locations in rural Sarawak.
Usaha yang kedua ialah penubuhan jawatankuasa khas status kewarganegaraan peringkat negeri Sarawak bagi menyelesaikan masalah permohonan kewarganegaraan di bawah perkara 15A Perlembagaan Persekutuan. Anak angkat, anak tidak sah taraf, anak di bawah jagaan atau anak terdampar atau foundling baby. Kita telah berjaya menyelesaikan sehingga 946 permohonan dan jawatankuasa ini terus menerima permohonan. Uniknya adalah permohonan itu akan dikumpulkan dan dibuat tapisan awal oleh Kerajaan Negeri Sarawak di bawah menterinya Dato' Haji Fatimah. Kemudian Kementerian Dalam Negeri dan Kerajaan Negeri Sarawak akan duduk bagi meneliti permohonan di bawah 15A ini sebelum membuat keputusan.
Now, Malaysian companies are urged to invest in the domestic semiconductor industry to boost the country's position in the global ecosystem. And making the call, Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry, Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Abdul Aziz, said there is plenty of opportunities for local players to explore, even though Malaysia has been a prominent player globally for over 50 years.
We need to know where our strengths are, and one of the areas that our strength is actually in the digital and green economy. We are pushing a lot on renewable energy, so we're seeing a lot of investments in that area. But on digital economy, especially on semiconductor and data centers, we are seeing a lot of investments coming into this area, especially for semiconductor, where we have been a major player in the last 50 years. And we now want to move up that value chain from back end to front end.
Zafrul said Malaysia has strengths in both and digital green economies. While Malaysian companies play a big role in renewable energy, there is a need for improvement in the digital economy, namely in data centers. He stated the ministry is working on institutionalizing the process and invite local businesses to invest in the sector. He pointed out that Malaysia has seen favorable flows of capital and investments as a result of trade tensions between the United States and China.
Now, amidst the US and China chip wars, Malaysia has emerged as the surprise winner and preferred destination for the global semiconductor industry. According to a report published by the Financial Times, Penang became the biggest benefactor, netting over 60.1 billion ringgit of direct foreign investment in 2023 alone, more than the cumulative figure it received from 2013 to 2020 combined. Deputy Dean of Research and Commercialization at the Faculty of Economics and Business UNIMAS, Professor Dr. Evan Lau, believes Sarawak also has the potential to reap the benefits of the trade and chip wars.
US and China have actually just not just benefited Malaysia, but in this case, particularly for Malaysia, have also benefited the countries in Southeast Asia. I look into that as a very positive way to how Malaysia actually could become a destination actually to the opportunity and emerge as the favorable location can be for this particular semiconductor industry.
He added Sarawak is also poised to become a major hub for green chip production and a preferred destination for the global semiconductor manufacturing industry with the establishment of SMD Semiconductor.
State-owned SMD Semiconductor Sdn Bhd actually have geared up. Have taken the gear up actually since last year or the year before that. In terms to ensure that we become one of the important destination for semiconductor, and becoming semiconductor perhaps have a much bigger location, I would say that, much place to explore. So we can tap this opportunity.
At the same time, Dr. Evan offered some recommendations aimed at enhancing the competitiveness of the semiconductor industry in Sarawak, particularly in infrastructure development and talent enhancement.
Right, that Sarawak must have important infrastructure to support this semiconductor investment, manufacturing or investment coming in. The second one I would think of importantly, second factors will be on the development of skills. We need, Sarawak would need to prioritize education and skill development, which has been done with state-owned Centex and Sarawak Skill Development Center, and of course universities like University Malaysia Sarawak and the other universities here in Sarawak. That's the two important part that Sarawak could play a role to ensure that the investment.
Now, all disaster management committees at state and district levels in Sarawak are urged to remain vigilant amid the persisting hot and dry weather conditions gripping the country. Deputy Premier Dato' Amar Douglas Ugambas stressed that the current weather conditions have led to several areas facing water supply issues. Uga, who is also the chairman of the Sarawak Disaster Management Committee, SDMC, reminded the public to take appropriate precautions. And earlier, the Malaysian Meteorological Department, or Met Malaysia, reported that the hot weather is expected to persist until mid-April, following the lack of rain-bearing clouds along with the equinox phenomenon. And during this period, temperatures may soar between 35 to 38 degrees Celsius, depending on the presence of clouds and rainfall at that time.
Dia tu lebih lagi kita di Mono Miri, Limang, Lawas, Palatnar, ngasai ke hari itu lebih panas, lebih angkai lagi hari ke ngelamat tu. Jadi, harinya tadi aku dah minta semua sudah presiden, sudah DO, semua kawan komiti State Disaster Management Committee merhati ke penusah kita ni lepas kata nak cukup kurang air. Nanti air di langkang yang tidak ya dipinta sama mantu sama nolong awak ke penusah ke suntuk air yang tadi tahu diatur dengan nakak komunitas.
Now, across the globe, forests serve as invaluable resources that not only generate life-giving oxygen, but their trees and vegetation also play a role in enriching the soil. But they are also engines for economic development. As the world commemorates World Forest Day, our reporter Hendy Goy shines the spotlight on the vital role forests play in driving economic prosperity.
From timber production to ecotourism, forest offers a myriad of opportunities for countries to thrive economically while preserving their natural heritage. C.K. Wong, a tutor in Kuching, stressed the importance of forests as they contribute significantly to his general well-being.
Kadang-kadang kalau sudah lama dekat bandar kan, suddenly you feel very boring. very stressed, and you cannot find the meaning of life. So when you re-enter to our mother nature, you go back to the forest, masuk hutan sekali lagi, then you feel connected. Okay, you feel connected with the whole world, the whole alam semesta, the whole hutan. Okay, you feel that as if you are macam berhubung dengan tumbuhan, berhubung dengan pokok-pokok, berhubung dengan seluruh alam. That is the best experience regarding our forest and our nature.
Brandon Law, retiree, on the other hand, said it is imperative for people to recognize that sustainable forest management is essential to ensure long-term economic viability.
To the country, because if everybody can produce, like what we call the ESG now, where we can have a lot of back to nature. So this is one of the very important aspects that every one of us should, follow. Because as you know that now the weather changes every now and then. So it causes a lot of unnecessary pollution. I think the forest is everybody's knows that it is very important in our ecosystem, which produce oxygen, and naturally, of course, it gives us the back to our green energy.
Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of Natural Resources and Urban Development Sarawak, Datuk Lan Talif Saleh, said in many developing nations, forests serves as a crucial contributors to their economies, providing employment, revenue, and resources for communities.
We consider that I think we really have to go back as far back as we can recall. From the record that we have, actually, the setting up the forestry department was in 1919. That's more than 100 years ago. So that reflects the importance of forests play in the livelihood of the people, including the climate, environment, the culture and whatnot.
He said while sustainable utilization is essential, Lan said the government also prioritized the conservation of totally protected areas (TPA), safeguarding biodiversity hotspots and critical habitats.
So then we came out with that to do that we need to look at overall what do we have in terms of the land mass that we have, which is what we have is around 12.4 million hectares. And how do we use it? So what we did was the cabinet agreed to have some land use framework, which stated that 1 million of our land mass out of 12.4 to be dedicated for what we call it totally protected area. That represents about 8% of our land mass.
Commenting further, the Sarawak government has assigned 6 million hectares out of the 12.4 million hectares as a forest reserve, making up approximately 48% of the total land.
World Forest Day in Malaysia, celebrated on March 21st, is a vibrant testament to the nation's commitment to preserving its rich tapestry of rainforests and biodiversity. Hence, activities such as reforestation drives, wildlife education program, and educational campaigns shine a spotlight on the forest's pivotal role in ecological balance and the well-being of the people. It is a day that not only reflects Malaysia's ongoing dedication to sustainable living and global environmental goals, but also acts as a powerful call to action, urging the community at large to join hands in safeguarding these natural resources for the generations in the future. My name is Handy Gui with videographer Faitullah Moni, reporting for TVS Kuching.
Now, a total of 50 million ringgit has been approved for highland rice cultivation in Sabah and Sarawak this year. Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Dato' Arthur Joseph Kurup, said the federal government recognizes the potential of highland rice as a sustainable mode of income for paddy farmers. He hopes the allocation will help farmers multiply their income providing subsidies via a scheme designed to lower the prices of fertilizers and pesticides, or better known as SBRPB.
Yang kedua, meneruskan pemberian input pertanian bersubsidi khusus kepada pesawar padi bukit di Sabah dan Sarawak, iaitu skim subsidi baja dan racun padi bukit atau dikenali sebagai SBRPB. Program ini bermatlamat untuk meringankan beban pesawar serta mengurangkan kos pengeluaran padi bukit.
Welcome back. The greatness of a leader should not be measured by how eloquent he is when addressing issues or delivering speeches. Rather, a great leader should be judged based on integrity, discipline, and their track record. However, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said that several leaders in the country have used racial and religious matters to gain support from the people, which tarnishes unity in the country.
Bukan hebat Melayu itu untuk memijak dan memandang enteng kepada orang lain. Sama juga dengan kumpulan minoriti. China, India atau kumpulan suku kaum yang lain. Mereka juga harus terima kenyataan bahawa negara ini terasnya masih Melayu. Majoritinya Melayu. Kita terima kenyataan itu dengan semangat perpaduan, pertahankan keadilan dan beri ruang dan hak kepada semua.
Anwar remarked that Malays will not advance if they choose to backbite and oppress others.
Tak ada untungnya kalau kita rasa nak menang dengan menanam bibit kebencian kepada orang lain. Menang kita kerana hebat kita, bukan kerana mencerca kaum lain atau agama lain atau kelompok minoriti lain.
Anwar went on in his speech saying that a great leader must have attributes that can inculcate trust from the people.
Dan saya tekankan hal ini kerana kadang-kadang kita tak habis-habis dengan bicara ini. Bicara ini tidak memenangkan kita, saudara. Iman pun tidak bertambah, ilmu pun tidak bertambah, akhlak pun tidak diperbaiki. Ekonomi jauh lagi. Yang menang hanya jeritan.
Anwar said this at the Malaysia Madani Executive Discussions with Public Servants 2024, hosted by Akademi Kenegaraan on Thursday.
On a different note, Anwar has called on government officials to find ways or solutions to address the plight faced by rural communities in their hometowns. He opined that adopting such strategies could resolve many of the issues on social matters, financial difficulties, and educational challenges in rural areas.
Anwar also suggested putting an end to any outdated discussions to rejuvenate the country and prevent it from stagnating, while considering the role of citizens in enhancing the nation's reputation. He said that the nation should progress by focusing on knowledge, exploring new scientific avenues, and embracing digital technology, all while fostering unity and solidarity within the community. The Prime Minister expressed his desire for the nation to be a team, not for disparaging other races, but for showcasing the virtues of meaningful discussions, leadership, attitudes, culture, discipline, and integrity. He stressed the importance of focusing on these values, highlighting that disparaging other races brings no benefit to either the community or the country.
Now, the government is in discussion to find an alternative way to send humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza. However, according to Defence Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Khalid Nordin, Malaysia does not reject the possibility of delivering humanitarian aid into Gaza via airdrop or through airspace.
Kalaupun kita nak lakukan bantuan kemanusiaan melalui airdrop, mungkin kita hantar barang tu ke pihak sana yang akan lakukan airdrop, bukannya kita hantar kapal terbang kita hantar. Jadi kita memang ada bantu, tapi cara bagaimana sampai ke itu di bawah bidang kuasa Kementerian Luar.
Previously, Malaysia contributed over 480 food boxes which were airdropped at North Gaza using a C-130 cargo plane under the Royal Jordanian Air Force. The effort is carried out through a non-governmental organization, Charisma Humanitarian Outreach Mission, resulting from collaboration between the Hasmiyah Jordan Welfare Organization, Childcare Charity Association, and the Royal Jordanian Air Force. Meanwhile, the Malaysian Armed Forces ATM received a total contribution worth 2.524 million ringgit, including goods and cash, which witnessed an increase of 41% compared to the contributions received last year.
Moving on to world news, a suicide bombing in the Afghan city of Kandahar on Thursday killed 3 people and wounded 12 others. The attack took place outside a bank, a common gathering place for locals collecting their salaries. The victims were innocent civilians who were going about their daily lives when the violence erupted.
The wounded were swiftly transported to hospitals, but details were scarce as medical facilities were instructed not to engage with the media. Kandahar is known as the stronghold of the Taliban, the group ruling Afghanistan. Firefighters and security personnel were clearing the area where blood, scrapes of clothes and shoes littered the ground. The number of bomb blasts and suicide attacks in Afghanistan has markedly declined since the Taliban ended their insurgency after seizing power in August 2021. Ousting the US-backed government. However, several armed groups, including the regional chapter of the Islamic State group, remain a threat.
After previously vetoing many times the United Nations plea for a Gaza ceasefire, the United States suddenly altered its stance by introducing its own draft of a UN resolution amid increasing concerns of famine in Gaza. State Secretary Anthony Blinken stressed that any ceasefire must include provisions for the release of hostages taken during the October 7th conflict. He expressed hope that this move would convey a powerful message to the international community.
Blinken, who is running a diplomatic push alongside mediation efforts in Qatar, will land in Israel tomorrow, hoping to turn the Zionist regime negative stance into a positive one. The southern Gaza city of Rafah has become a focal point for a diplomatic dispute between the US and Israel, as it remains the only area in the territory largely unaffected by Israeli ground forces, leading to a tug of war between the two nations. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has emphasized that a ground invasion is the sole method to effectively eradicate Hamas. US officials have expressed their support for Netanyahu's objective, but have urged Israel to explore alternative strategies before resorting to a potentially devastating invasion in an area where approximately 1.5 million people are confined by the Egyptian border. During the week, Israel claimed to have raided and killed about 140 Hamas fighters in Gaza's biggest hospital, Al-Shifa. However, they persisted in causing fatalities overnight among displaced individuals in Gaza, with the Gazan Health Ministry reporting a death toll of at least 70 people, bringing the overall count closer to 32,000.
Now, over in Indonesia, Prabowo Subianto was officially announced as the country's next president after decisively beating his 2 rivals, Anies Baswedan and Ganjar Pranowo. Defence Minister Prabowo and his vice presidential running mate, Gibran Raka Buming Raka, won a majority of votes on February 14th, winning 59% or more than 96 million votes.
Anies Baswedan secured nearly 41 million votes, or 25% of the total count, while Ganjar Pranowo received 27 million votes, more than 16%. Prabowo, a former Special Forces commander who has been accused of human rights abuses, will take over from outgoing President Joko Widodo, Gibran's father and popularly known as Jokowi, in October after a transition period. The 72-year-old swept the election on promises on continuing Jokowi's policies, riding on the president's popularity and using social media platforms like TikTok to tap the support of Indonesia's legion of young voters. Prabowo had already claimed victory in the election after unofficial vote counts showed him with a significant lead over his rivals.
Kita telah dipilih oleh rakyat Indonesia. Mandat rakyat Indonesia adalah di tangan kami, tapi kami akan menjadi presiden, wakil presiden, pemerintah untuk seluruh rakyat Indonesia. Bagi mereka yang tidak memilih kami, berilah kesempatan kami. Kami akan buktikan, kami akan menjadi presiden, wakil presiden, pemerintah yang akan bekerja sekeras-kerasnya untuk seluruh rakyat Indonesia.
Meanwhile, failed Indonesian presidential candidate Anies Baswedan challenged Prabowo Subianto's decisive victory at the Constitutional Court earlier today. He alleged that rules were unfairly changed to allow the outgoing leader's son to run as his vice president.
President-elect Prabowo's campaign was mired in allegations that outgoing leader Joko Widodo, popularly known as Jokowi, had interfered in a bid to establish a political dynasty, engineering rules changes that allowed his eldest son, Gibran Rakambuming Raka, to run as Prabowo's vice president. An Anies campaign staff said that they would provide the proof of intervention and let the judges decide what to do with that.
Kita tidak ingin budaya demokrasi kita penuh dengan ketidaknormalan. Kita ingin mengembalikan demokrasi kita menjadi demokrasi yang penuh dengan kewarasan. Demokrasi yang mengedepankan adab. Ini yang harus kita kerjakan. Karena itulah kenapa kita memilih jalur ini. Karena kita ingin agar pengalaman ini nantinya tidak menular. Tidak menular kemana? Ke pemilihan-pemilihan berikutnya.
Earlier, Anies' legal chief told reporters outside the campaign headquarters that they submitted an election dispute petition to the court online early Thursday morning. Jokowi was criticized after his brother-in-law, then Chief Justice Anwar Usman, issued an October ruling lowering the age requirements for presidential and vice presidential candidates that allowed 36-year-old Gibran to run with Prabowo. The requirements were lowered to allow candidates under 40 years of age to run if they have been elected to a political position. Anies, who got 24.9% of the vote, refused to concede after official results were announced on Wednesday, condemning the winner's route to victory.
See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally. Just a click away by heading onto our website at tvsarawak.my or by following us on our social media platforms, and that's Alias TV Sarawak. And those were the updates on TVS Nightline. Thank you for watching. I'm Yusuf Shukri. Have a good night and Assalamualaikum.